sometimes in the morning we're doing innie stuff, and in the afternoon we're doing outie stuff. But I will say that
that's a T-shirt.
That's right. Innie stuff in the morning, outie stuff at night. You know what I'm talking about.
Innie in the front, outie in the back.
That's right. That's right.
My next guest tied for Lumen Industries Employee of the Year 2 years running. Please put your hands together for Adam Scott and Patricia Arquette.
La da da da.
Come on in. Thank you so much. This is so beautiful. Look at this. What a beautiful dress. Patricia, Adam, so good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Your house is a mess.
It is. It's how it goes. It's how it goes. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Now, Adam, I mentioned this backstage. You were last on the show in my backyard in January of 2022. That was a month before Severance premiered. I remember just feeling like, I'm sorry, this show is incomprehensible to someone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
It must be nice talking about it.
To explain it to you, and it was hard to explain, but also particularly 3 years ago, there were like 9 shows premiering every week. Like there's a lot of TV now, but there was a lot more 3 years ago. So another person coming on saying, I'm on a new Apple show about this, it was and it being confusing, it probably was a bad combo.
I felt guilty because it's like, I didn't do enough to seem hyped about it.
Well, you hadn't seen any of it,
Hadn't
right?
seen it yet. Patricia Arquette.
Hello.
Amazing as Cobell. I love the manner of her voice in the show, and I'm curious what inspires that accent. It has a little mid-Atlantic to it, but also submarine captain. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, you're close. This year we got to see where Cobell came from, and it was very humble beginnings, and it was this very harsh environment. And she grew up in this school, and she had this very harsh aunt. So really, she is self-created. She wanted to sound the way that people in positions of power sounded. So yes, it was inspired by Mid-Atlantic, but also Maude.
Maude.
Yes. I got the whole DVD set before I started.
That totally makes sense.
There's a touch of B. Arthur.
There is.
Just the slightest little spice of B.
And B. Arthur does have a touch of submarine captain.
Exactly. So here we are.
Now, other than Mel Gibson, who's been on a bunch, we believe you're our first Oscar winner to be on the show. Did you know that Oscar-winning performers live on average almost 4 years longer than their fellow nominees? That's real.
No.
Yes, they genuinely do.
I am gullible, so
no, this is a real study.
This to me.
Is a real study that found the actual details are that Oscar winners live longer than nominees and a cohort of actors who weren't nominated, because being nominated doesn't increase your life. You just live like a normal actor.
Right.
So do you know what you're going to say at Ethan Hawke's funeral?
Oh my God, I don't, the way things are going right now, no one's dying. As much as we want to, daily. No, we're staying alive forever.
Okay. Adam, your reaction was correct. Adam Scott, you said as an actor, this was to CBS News, as an actor it's something you wait for your entire career, but when it happened, I was immediately terrified and didn't quite know why. I guess I was afraid that it was just going to end up being embarrassing and people were going to make fun of us and make fun of me. What has it been like to have your worst fears realized?
Well, now it feels great, but yeah, I don't know. I think you wish and hope for something, and then it's there, and when it's a blank canvas, it's way harder than, when you watch something and you're like, oh, they should have done this or that. That's because a thing was created and you're able to watch it and make be able to form what different calls you would have made. But when it's a blank canvas in front of you, like nothing, and you need to figure it all out, it's a lot harder. So I think I was scared by that kind of sheer face of slippery, wet rock that I had to climb up somehow.
And you did.
Thank you.
Which makes it.
Spider-Man.
That's right.
Patricia, you were in a documentary directed by your sister Rosanna called "Searching for Deborah Winger."
Yeah, Rosanna.
That was so good.
Did you find her?
Actually, I did recently. I texted Deborah Winger to ask her to donate an item to the ACLU auction. And she is.
Now, that's a jokey question for me. But
Sorry.
No. I'm apologizing for asking you jokey questions. But the reason I was asking because it was a documentary about why Deborah Winger had stepped away from acting, and part of what the movie was about was what it's like for women in Hollywood to find roles that match their talents. And I was looking at your filmography and television work, and I realized that you have been in a movie or television show every single year since 1987, except for 2004 and the 2 years of the pandemic into Severance. You must be exhausted.
Wow, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yes. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, I grew up, I'm a fourth generation actor, so I grew up in a home where my dad really worked really hard to try to provide for 7 people as a working actor. He'd get a commercial and then like a bunch of auditions and then maybe a callback and then no auditions. And there was a lot of pressure and anxiety, to try to make a living. And I saw how difficult that was. And then I was a single mom at 20. So I couldn't even buy a beer, but I was like, I have to buy fucking diapers. So I need to make some money. Yeah.
Do you feel like in that as the industry has like evolved over those years, have you felt it change in like the aperture of roles available for women who remember the Challenger explosion changing?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have to say that I think the expansion of streaming services, and there was a bit of a history, like Cagney and Lacey, I Love Lucy. There were women in TV in bigger parts, less than movies in a way.
Kate and Allie.
Thank you. Yeah, how could I forget? And then Maude, for instance.
And Maude.
Yeah. Mary Hartman. Anyway, so I'm falling
The Love
down
Boat.
the edge.
There were female roles.
If you're on this show, here's the good news. If you're on this show, the press tour has to be almost over.
Okay.
You gotta be near the end. I saw you did Hot Ones. Now you're here. It's almost over.
I know, and I won an Oscar. What the hell's going on? No. I think that for me, I mean, there was a period where you're the ingenue, you're young. I started off young, and I was the girlfriend and the girl I want to make love to or whatever. And then I became the mom. Luckily, in that moment where I was starting to be perceived as the mom type, I got medium. And that was a lead, and it was an interesting part, and I got to explore motherhood also in a more interesting way. But when it became the 40 period-ish, this Deborah Winger age, I won an Oscar. So it helped my career. There were more opportunities for women because of streamers, but also I was in a particularly good position just because of that.
Yeah. Winning an Oscar is a great thing to do.
I really lucked out. It turned out. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
Thank you, God.
Adam, you were on Amy Poehler's podcast last week, and you said that you almost quit acting because you didn't get 6 feet under. And have you just been going through it this whole time? From the outside, you're crushing it. Were you ready to get out? How many times have you been ready to give up? How anxious have you been this whole time? You get Severance, you're terrified. You don't get 6 feet under, you almost quit the business.
Right. It's almost as if nothing will make me happy.
Yeah, you've got 2 women. You got Helly.
Gemma. What does one do? I was, that was like the nadir, right? It was like, I was in this work desert where I hadn't worked in a long time. And then little did I know, after that moment of losing out on 6 Feet Under, I wasn't going to work for a while after. And so I was just like, what am I doing? And my wife, I remember I was on our couch, like, wondering. By the way, it was all for the better because I was not ready for that role. And Michael C. Hall is incredible. And oh my God, he made that show. He's one of the things that made that show so great, just to say that. It was by far the right choice. But I remember sitting on the couch kind of figuring out what I was going to do. And my wife saying, do you think there's something else that you might want to do? Not knowing that that's not the thing you say to an actor. And she still says the look on my face told her that was not something I'd ever considered. But I had to start considering it, you know?
Yeah. And now here we are, and you're both in one of the greatest television shows ever made. It's extraordinary. It's an amazing.
Thank you.
And I feel very, like, I was thinking about this for the show, that tonight, it, like, you know, Hollywood is always changing, it's always evolving, and everyone's saying that its best days are always behind it. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, this is a moment where some of the best television that's ever been made, that changed the way television works. And part of that is that it's an incredibly talented cast. The writing is amazing. It's also led by Ben Stiller, who turns out to be one of the greatest directors in television, along with Tony Gilroy here. And you've been friends with Ben Stiller for a long time, and he directed Reality Bites, but he was known as a comedic actor for a long time, I think, to people. And yet this show is clearly meticulous, and the vision is so rich and deep, and you feel it in just the editing and the shots, that this is shooting this must be just a serious enterprise. Do you ever feel like you want to make fun of him on set because he's been your friend for a long time, and now he's helming this incredibly serious thing?
I mean, yeah, we do. I mean, I coined his alter ego on set, Bendo, which is the on-set photographer who's always getting in people's eye lines. Because he does. He has a film camera and he takes photos, and he kind of prances around with his film camera as if he is an on-set photographer. And it's like, what are you doing?
Wait, why is he doing that?
You know what? The photos are beautiful. They really are. But Bendo takes them, not Ben.
Love It or Leave It is brought to you by Helix. I love Helix mattresses. Have a Helix mattress. I have a Dawn Luxe. It's absolutely improved my sleep. Making my bed a better, more comfortable bed has been great for, just makes everything nicer at the end of the day when it's time to, just get in bed and stare at your phone for several hours.
So nice.
Helix knows there's no better way to test out a mattress than by sleeping on it in your own home. That's why they offer a 100-night trial and a 10 to 15-year warranty to try out your new Helix mattress. Everybody's unique and everybody sleeps differently. That's why Helix has several different mattress models to choose from, each designed for specific sleep positions and feel preferences. So how will you know which Helix mattress works best for you and your body? Take the Helix Sleep Quiz. Find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes. As I said, I took the quiz. I was matched with the Dawn Luxe. I wanted something that was firm but plush because I sleep on my side, my back, my stomach. I'm in all the positions. Your personal mattress shipped straight to your door free of charge. Go to helixsleep.com/loveit for 27% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/loveit for 27% off site-wide. This offer is exclusive to Love It or Leave It listeners. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/loveit.
Now, Patricia, you starred with Ben Stiller in Flirting with Disaster with David O. Russell, and you were telling me backstage that the only director you've ever worked with who was more of a prick than David O. Russell is Ben Stiller. That's what you said, right?
Lies. And this is how careers are destroyed. No. Yeah, we worked together on Flirting with Disaster. And before Tough Days and stuff, I would start singing Jesus Christ Superstar to Ben before we'd go, like, he'd be cranky, something would be wrong, it was super hot in the desert. Christ, you know I love you. And he'd start singing along, and then they'd roll, and we'd go. And then he directed me in Escape at Dannemora.
Yes.
Which was also so precise and had such a different tone than this. So.
Well, yeah, and another also like just beautiful direction and like really sort of I think does like say, oh, that's where, this is somebody working towards something pretty amazing.
Yeah, and really, honestly, I really struggled with the tone of this show, the first season, the beginning. Like, are we doing a comedy? Is this a sci-fi soap opera? What exactly are we doing? So we experimented a bit, but also Ben was finding it, but also really had that kind of precision. And luckily he cut together a few minutes to show me, this is kind of the feeling I'm going for.
Is it, like, it's such a strange, must be such a strange demand on you as both of you as performers, whether you're acting with someone who's playing two people or playing, in a sense, two people. Does it ever get confusing as you're making the show? Is there like a script coordinator who's like, you're innie, you don't know that. You put that down. You don't have that. You don't know what that is. Does that happen?
It was so fun to watch him do his work, because I get to be Zellwig outside and then Cobell inside to see this like innocent Mark that you brought in and worked on, and then the outside Mark, the more world-weary Mark.
Yeah, I don't know about confusing, but it was definitely, sometimes we shoot a bunch of episodes at a time, like either block shoot. The first season, we shot the whole season at once. So like in month 9, we were still shooting stuff from the first episode. But it's just like, sometimes in the morning we're doing innie stuff, and in the afternoon we're doing outie stuff. But I will say that...
That's a T-shirt.
That's right. Any stuff in the morning, outie stuff at night. You know what I'm talking about.
Innie in the front, outie in the back.
That's right. That's right.
You could swing that way too.
Yeah.
But getting to work with Patricia really was instructive, because when we started, like she said, we were kind of like figuring out this tone, and Ben was kind of like, maybe that, maybe not that, and we were finding it. But being able to get in these scenes, dig into these scenes with Patricia, who is wholly unafraid to just walk in there and experiment and do stuff that may not work at all, do stuff that may work 20%, do stuff that works 120%. Just let's try it all, and then that's how we'll find it, and that is how we found it. And it was just extraordinary to be there to watch it, but then also to participate in it, and it helped me figure out this tone as well, and also figure out my character, because this is the person who was like the sun and the moon for my character,
I remember
mother or whatever.
some guy had told me some story before, and I don't remember who told me it. That's terrible, but he said he was rehearsing a play with this guy. And this guy, every rehearsal would be totally different. One he'd be climbing on the chairs, like rolling on the ground, being super weird, singing it. The guy was like, how am I supposed to like get ready for this, to go up in front of an audience? Like, I don't feel like I can really connect with this guy. He's all over the place. And I hope he's not going to do this, crying like a cat, running around on the ground. What, on opening night. But opening night came, and he's like, the guy was amazing and free. And I was like the one who was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I realized I was envious of that, like exploring.
Huh. Acting seems hard. And then you don't know if it's going to be good or not. You're just doing it in a room with a bunch of people. Then 8 months later, you find out. That's crazy.
Yeah, you don't know if it's people are gonna think it's terrible or love it. You have no idea.
Patricia, I wanted to ask you about this. And so your sister Alexis, who passed away, was trans, and you've spoken very movingly about that you and your family had to learn about it, to understand it, to come to accept it, that it wasn't obvious at first, that it didn't make sense at first. And I thought that was interesting, because I do think that you were doing that before the country did in a lot of ways, and now we are doing that or not doing that, depending. And I'm curious, because I think sometimes the conversation in places where there's more acceptance got ahead of places where they just hadn't had the conversation yet. And I'm curious what you felt like you had to learn, or what changed for you that made acceptance possible.
Yeah, I think when you look at people and their behavior throughout your life, or even your own, you have to think of the milieu of the world around you. What was the politics at the time? What was the norm at the time, and all of that? You know, when Alexis was always androgynous, like Boy George came out, and that was a great way for her to be wearing makeup and dancing around, and we were always going to gay clubs together, and we were always hanging out. But at the same time, there was this brutal locomotive pushing forward with Jerry Falwell saying gay people were going to hell, and that AIDS was a curse, and it was curse for behavior and all this. And I'd seen in the punk rock scene, you know, drinking outside with friends, some gay guys getting bashed. I'd seen all kinds of stuff in Hollywood. So when that transition happened, I was worried for Alexis. I was like, this is a really brutal world. People are really judgmental and scary. And I'm scared you're going to get hurt, was one thing. The other thing was Alexis was an incredible actor. She had done Last Exit to Brooklyn. It's an incredible performance. I really hope everyone gets to see that performance. And then so many of her performances. And just doing improvs with her was like a joy. Like, she blew my mind. And I knew, like, wait, if you come out as trans, will they ever hire you as someone's boyfriend in a movie? They're so strict. Like, they're not open. Like, so we had lots of talks about that. Like, okay, so what if you don't get work as an actor? I mean, and she was like, I know. I think that's going to happen. And so that was just really heartbreaking, and it still is really heartbreaking to me that, you know. So when you see someone living their truth, even if it's right, you love them so much, and you have to be real about the world they're walking into, you know.
I do think it speaks to something about people being able to kind of learn and grow. And you had that experience of getting to have it in your life, and a lot of people don't. And I think it's important for people to hear about it. So thank you for sharing
I
that.
do too. I mean, here's the thing people don't talk about is the family goes through a transition. You know, you do have a period, and maybe not anymore because the world has changed, but you have a period where it's like, wait a minute, I don't want to say goodbye to my brother. You know, we trick-or-treated together. Remember, we did school together? All these little things. When you stood up and fought those boys who were, you know, trying to perv out on me, like, I love that person. Do you love that person?
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
want to make sure that you love yourself. And that's not why any of this is happening. So very deep conversations. But then I remember my sister saying, no, you're not losing your brother. You know, she's like a butterfly. Like, and then by then we'd had a lot of our deaths of our parents. So it was like, I don't care. I trust you. You tell me who you are. You tell me what you feel inside. I believe you. I don't want to lose anybody else in my life that I love, or judge them, or push them away, or not embrace them. I don't understand what it feels like to be trans, but I trust you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Let's leave it there for now. Congratulations on the show. I do think to get to be part of such an amazing, beautiful, special thing. Congratulations on being part of it.